Out in the high desert of New Mexico, where the mesas stretch to the horizon and mornings start with a vast, cold silence, a ruthless gang came for what they thought was an easy target. A quiet, aging black homesteader named Elias Vance. Alone, they assumed. Soft. Breakable. They didn't see the desert wars behind his eyes, or the discipline etched in his every step. They didn't know the quiet land he now cultivated once echoed with the ghosts of forgotten conflicts. One call to his old Delta Force team changed everything. By nightfall, the ambush had collapsed, the gang was scattered, and the reckoning Elias delivered was only just beginning. Just like that, the peaceful homesteader is gone, replaced by a warrior. The fight for his sanctuary has begun. What do you think is the first thought that went through Elias's mind when he saw them coming? Vengeance or survival? Let me know your thoughts. Dawn hadn't yet touched the New Mexico sky when Elias Vance's eyes opened. Years of operational discipline meant his body still knew exactly when to wake. 4:30 a.m., without fail. He lay still for a moment, listening to the profound silence of his adobe house, feeling the cool desert air drift through the partially open window. His bedroom was sparse, but functional. A heavy juniper wood dresser stood against one wall, and his bed faced the window overlooking his land. The only decoration was a single framed photo of his old Delta Force team, gathering dust on the nightstand. Elias swung his legs over the side of the bed, his joints protesting slightly. At 52, his body reminded him daily of the toll his service had taken. Still, he moved with practiced economy, pulling on worn jeans and a faded tan work shirt. His morning routine was as precise as a mission briefing. It brought him a sense of order. In the kitchen, he put coffee on to brew while he laced up his heavy-duty boots. The rich aroma filled the small house as he stood at the sink, gazing out over his 40 acres. The pre-dawn darkness was starting to yield to a deep indigo, revealing rows of chill plants and alfalfa stretching toward the distant mesa. His small flock of hardy sheep would be waiting in the south pasture. "Another day," he murmured, pouring the coffee into his favorite ceramic mug, a gift from Leo years ago. The familiar weight in his hand grounded him. Elias stepped out onto his front portal, inhaling deeply. The morning air was thin, dry, and carried the scent of sagebrush and dust. His homestead was his sanctuary now, a stark contrast to the chaos of his former life. Here, he found purpose in working the land, in watching things grow instead of destroying them. He made his way to the barn, the gravel crunching under his boots. The chickens were already stirring, pecking at the dry ground as he approached their coop. He scattered feed, counting heads out of habit. 20 hens, 2 roosters, all present and accounted for. Something caught his eye as he turned toward the sheep pasture. Unfamiliar tire tracks in the soft earth near his fence line. Elias crouched down, studying the deep treads. These weren't from his truck or the weekly delivery vehicles. The tracks were fresh, probably from last night, and they showed a vehicle that had stopped, turned around, and left. His combat instincts, never fully dormant, sparked to life. Elias walked the perimeter of his property, checking for other signs of disturbance. He found more tracks near his back gate, along with scattered cigarette butts that weren't his brand. Someone had been watching his home. The rest of his morning chores were performed with a heightened awareness. He fed and counted his sheep, 30 head, all healthy. But his mind kept returning to those tracks. Years of training told him this wasn't a random visit. Someone had been scoping out his property. As the sun climbed higher, Elias worked his fields, checking drip irrigation lines and the condition of his plants. The physical labor helped calm his nerves, but he couldn't shake the feeling of being watched. By late afternoon, his shirt was soaked with sweat as he finished repairing a section of fence. The sun was setting, painting the desert sky in fiery hues of orange and purple when he finally headed back to the house, his shadow stretching long across the yard. Inside, he washed up and started preparing a simple dinner, fresh chiles and vegetables from his garden with some chicken. The routine was familiar, but his movements were tense now, his senses on high alert. The first unusual sound came just as he was plating his food. Engines, multiple vehicles, approaching fast down his long private drive. Elias switched off the kitchen light and moved to the window. His heart rate picked up, but his hands were steady as he pushed the curtain aside. Headlights cut through the growing darkness, illuminating his yard in harsh white beams. 3 pickup trucks were rolling toward his house, their engines growling aggressively. Behind them, he could see more vehicles approaching. Elias's tactical mind kicked in automatically, assessing threats and options. The trucks were spreading out, surrounding his property in a practiced, pincer-like manner. This wasn't random violence. This was coordinated. In the glare of headlights, he could see men jumping from the vehicles, carrying weapons. The orange glow of tiki torches bobbed in the darkness. His hands clenched as he watched them approach, at least a dozen armed men moving with purpose across his land. The same land he'd bought after retiring, hoping to find peace. The same soil he'd worked every day for the past 5 years, trying to grow something good. Now they were here to burn it all down. Through the window, Elias could see their faces clearly now, masks of hatred illuminated by torchlight as they spread out around his house and barn. They carried rifles and shotguns, some brandishing burning torches, a grotesque echo of a hateful past. Elias moved silently through his darkened house, years of special operations training taking over. His movements were fluid, purposeful, each step carefully placed to avoid making a sound. He needed to reach the barn, and fast. The sound of breaking glass shattered the night. A bottle crashed through his kitchen window, flames erupting as the Molotov cocktail spread burning gasoline across his floor. The acrid smell of smoke filled the air. Elias slipped out the back door, staying low in the shadows. The attackers were spreading out, their torches casting dancing shadows across his property. Their voices carried clearly through the night air. "Burn it all down," someone shouted. "Show him this ain't his land," said. The words made his jaw clench, but Elias remained focused. 20 yards to the barn. He could make it. The darkness was his ally. He reached the barn's side door just as the first shots rang out. They were firing into his house now, glass breaking and wood splintering under the assault. Elias slipped inside the barn, moving directly to a false panel in the wall. Behind it lay a waterproof case containing his M4 carbine, magazines, and body armor. Insurance he'd hoped never to need. The barn doors crashed open. Flashlight beams cut through the darkness as 2 men entered, their boots crunching on hay. Elias could smell gasoline. They were planning to torch the barn, too. "Check the loft," one ordered. "Make sure he ain't hiding up there." Elias moved like a phantom, silent and deadly. His hands found familiar positions on his rifle as he melted deeper into the darkness. The attackers were sloppy, overconfident. They'd separated themselves from their group, made themselves vulnerable. A horrific bleating sound split the night, the death cry of one of his sheep. They were slaughtering his animals now. Rage burned hot in Elias's chest, but he kept it controlled, channeled. Emotion gets you killed. The first attacker never saw him coming. Elias struck from behind, one hand clamping over the man's mouth while his other arm locked around the throat. The struggle was brief, ending with a sharp crack as Elias twisted. The second man turned at the sound, raising his shotgun. Elias was already moving. He slammed into the attacker's midsection, driving him back against the barn wall. The shotgun blast went wide, deafening in the enclosed space. Elias struck twice, throat and temple, dropping his opponent without a second thought. Outside, more vehicles had arrived. Elias counted at least 15 attackers now, their faces hidden behind masks as they destroyed everything in sight. His chest tightened as he watched them spray paint his barn with racial slurs, their hatred raw and ugly in the torchlight. A burst of automatic fire ripped through the night, but not aimed at him. Elias recognized that sound. Leo's M249 SAW. His old friend had arrived. "Contact front!" someone screamed. The attackers scattered as Leo's heavy weapon forced them to cover. Elias used the chaos to his advantage, moving to a firing position at the barn's window. Two attackers ran past his position, trying to flank Leo. Elias dropped them both with precise double taps. The training never left you. Aim, squeeze, confirm. Pain exploded in his left shoulder as a round found its mark. Elias rolled away from the window, blood soaking his shirt. The wound was bad, but not immediately fatal. He'd survived far worse. "Elias!" Leo's voice boomed across the property. "Give me some cover fire! Moving to your position!" Elias forced himself up, ignoring the burning in his shoulder. He laid down suppressing fire, forcing the remaining attackers to duck behind their vehicles. Leo sprinted through the gap, his powerful frame moving with surprising agility. "Damn, brother," Leo said as he reached Elias's position. "You sure know how to throw a party." His eyes narrowed as he saw Elias's wound. "You're hit." "I've had worse paper cuts," Elias grunted, though the pain was intensifying. "They're pulling back." Indeed, the attackers were retreating now, engines roaring to life as they fled into the night. Leo kept his weapon trained on their escape route until the last vehicle disappeared. The aftermath of the violence lay scattered across Elias's homestead. His house burned, his livestock lay slaughtered in the fields, and hateful messages defaced his buildings. The peace he'd built here lay in ruins. "How'd you know?" Elias asked, letting Leo examine his wound. "Been watching these bastards, the Desert Scorpions," Leo replied, his voice tight with anger. "Knew they were planning something. Didn't know it would be this big, though." He helped Elias to his feet. "This ain't over, brother. Not by a long shot." Elias looked out over his burning property, the land he'd worked so hard to nurture, now scarred by hatred. The peaceful homesteader in him mourned the destruction. But another part, the warrior he'd tried to leave behind, was reawakening. These men had brought war to his doorstep. Elias had to become the very thing he came to the desert to escape. It's a tough pill to swallow when violence follows you to your sanctuary. If you were in his shoes, would you be tempted to simply leave, or would the desire to fight for your home be too strong? The sun crept over the horizon, painting the smoke-filled sky in shades of angry red. Elias sat on the remains of his front portal steps, his shoulder freshly bandaged by Leo's skilled hands. The morning light revealed the full extent of the devastation. Blackened buildings, dead sheep scattered across blood-stained earth, and hateful messages carved into his land. 10 years of work, Elias said quietly, his voice rough from smoke inhalation. "Everything I built here." Leo stood beside him, his rifle still close at hand. "We'll rebuild it, brother. Every damn bit of it." Elias touched his bandaged shoulder, wincing. The pain helped keep him focused. 4 dead attackers lay covered with tarps near the barn. 2 more had escaped with injuries. The rest had fled. "Sheriff's department should have been here hours ago," Leo said, checking his watch. "I called it in right after the shooting stopped." "They'll come when they want to come," Elias replied. He'd lived here long enough to know how things worked, but even he was surprised when Sheriff Brody's patrol car finally rolled up around 7 a.m. The sheriff was a tall man with graying hair and an easy smile that never quite reached his eyes. He walked with the confident swagger of someone used to being in charge. 2 deputies flanked him, looking uncomfortable. "Morning, Elias," Brody said pleasantly, as if he wasn't standing in the middle of a war zone. "Heard you had some trouble last night." Elias stood slowly. "That's one way to put it, Sheriff. My property's destroyed, my livestock slaughtered, and I've got 4 dead men who tried to kill me." Brody glanced at the covered bodies, then at the bullet holes and burn marks. His expression remained carefully neutral. "Looks like quite a mess. You sure this wasn't just some dispute that got out of hand? Maybe over land rights or something?" Leo stepped forward, anger flashing in his eyes. "Are you serious? Look at the graffiti. Look at what they wrote on the ground." The sheriff held up a placating hand. "Now, Mr. Jackson, I understand you're upset, but let's not jump to conclusions. Could have been drunk kids causing trouble." Elias pointed to his destroyed house. "Drunk kids with automatic weapons? With coordinated tactics?" His voice was level. "This was a coordinated attack, Sheriff. They came to kill me." "That's a mighty serious accusation," Brody said, not writing anything in his notepad. "Did you recognize any of them?" "They wore masks," Elias replied. "But I can describe their vehicles. Give you shell casings, tire tracks." The sheriff closed his notepad. "Tell you what, I'll file a report for trespassing and vandalism. Maybe we can track down some of these troublemakers." Elias stared at him in disbelief. "Trespassing? They tried to kill me. They butchered my animals. They burned racial slurs into my land." "Now, Elias," Brody's tone turned patronizing. "Let's not make this about race. That'll just stir up trouble nobody wants. File an insurance claim and we'll keep an eye out." Leo took an angry step forward, but Elias caught his arm. He recognized the look in Brody's eyes. The sheriff had already decided what this was. "Thank you for your time, Sheriff," Elias said quietly. Brody tipped his hat. "Sorry about your property, Elias. Times like these might be worth considering selling." With that parting shot, he and his deputies drove away. "That racist piece of..." Leo started. "Save it," Elias cut him off. "We both knew how this would go." They sat in silence, the desert sun climbing higher. The smoke had mostly cleared, but the stench of burned adobe and dead animals hung heavy in the air. Elias thought about the years he'd spent building this place, trying to create something peaceful after a lifetime of war. Now violence had found him again, and the law was a dead end. "Well, what's the play?" Leo asked finally. He knew that look in his friend's eyes. Elias stood carefully. Decision made. "Get me my phone." Leo retrieved Elias's cell phone from his truck. Elias scrolled through his contacts until he found the number he needed. He hadn't called it in years. He pressed dial and waited. It rang twice before a familiar voice answered. "Dr. Sharma." Elias took a deep breath. "Anya, I need you here. Now." The law has failed him. The system that's supposed to protect people has turned its back. It's a devastating moment of realization. Have you ever felt completely let down by the very institutions meant to help you? How does that change a person's outlook on justice? The afternoon sun cast long shadows across Elias's ravaged homestead as a black SUV rolled up his gravel driveway. Dr. Anya Sharma stepped out first, her silver hair pulled back in a tight bun, wearing tactical pants and a dark shirt. Miko Ghost Chen emerged from the passenger side, carrying a large metal case. Gabriel Shepard Stone unfolded his tall frame from the back seat, scanning the property with practiced eyes. "My God, Elias," Anya said, taking in the burnt-out house and slaughtered sheep. Her usual commanding presence softened with genuine pain for her old friend. Elias nodded slowly. "Appreciate you coming so quick." Miko set down his case and moved to embrace Elias, careful of his bandaged shoulder. "Brother, you should have called sooner." "Didn't want to drag you all back into this," Elias replied quietly. Gabriel placed a steady hand on Elias's shoulder. "We're family. This is what family does." They gathered in what was left of Elias's living room, now a makeshift command center. Miko unpacked his equipment, laptops, surveillance gear, and communication devices. Anya stood at the window, her tactical mind assessing sight lines. "Tell us everything," she commanded. Elias and Leo recounted the attack. Miko's fingers flew across keyboards, pulling up local police reports and social media. Gabriel made notes, his tracking expertise at work. "Desert Scorpions," Miko said, turning one laptop around. "Their leader is Jedediah Kane." The screen showed a man in his 40s with close-cropped hair and cold eyes at white supremacist rallies. "I know that face," Leo growled. "He was here last night." Anya leaned over Miko's shoulder. "They've got a pattern. Small homesteads, minority owners. But this attack on you, Elias, it's different. More coordinated." Miko connected more monitors. "Surveillance feeds from nearby roads are coming up." Gabriel studied photos of the tire tracks. "Got something," Miko announced. "Kane's group operates out of an old warehouse off Route 66. Used to be a distribution center." He pulled up satellite imagery. "Their comms are encrypted, but amateur hour. I'm in." Anya studied the warehouse layout. 3 entry points: loading dock east, main entrance north, emergency exit west. Gabriel returned from a perimeter scout. "Found fresh tracks matching last night's. They've been watching for weeks, using these back roads." Elias stood, drawing everyone's attention. The homesteader replaced by the warrior they knew. "We need confirmation on Kane's location." Miko nodded. "Already on it. Kane's phone is pinging off towers near the warehouse. He's there now." "Running it like a command center," Anya observed. "At least 20 members, heavy weapons." "No," Elias agreed. "This feels more organized." Miko's system beeped. "Got video confirmation. Kane just arrived. Live footage." The team gathered around the monitors. The warehouse bustled with activity. "They're planning something bigger," Leo said. "We need eyes on that warehouse," Anya said. "Close surveillance. We find out exactly what we're dealing with." Elias nodded. These were the people he'd gone to war with. Now they were here, ready to fight again. Miko monitored the feeds. Gabriel prepped his tracking gear. Anya sketched out tactical plans while Leo checked their weapons. The warehouse location was confirmed. Kane's presence was verified. Phase 1 was set. Night wrapped around the warehouse like a shroud. Elias and his team moved through the darkness, night vision goggles turning the world a ghostly green. Anya had positioned them strategically. Elias and Leo would breach the loading dock while she and Miko approached the main entrance. Gabriel provided overwatch from a nearby rooftop. 3 guards, north side. Gabriel's whisper came through their earpieces. 2 more by the loading dock. Regular patrol every 12 minutes. They had 7 minutes. Miko's voice came through. "Security cameras looped. They're blind." Anya's command was crisp. "Execute in 3, 2, 1. Elias moved first, swift and silent. One precise strike to the throat, another to the temple. Leo handled the second guard. At the main entrance, Anya and Miko neutralized their targets with synchronized takedowns. 4 guards down, no alarms. Loading dock clear, Elias whispered. Moving to Phase 2. They breached the side door. Inside were stacks of crates, weapon racks, and a makeshift office on a metal platform. Elias spotted Kane through the office windows. 6 tangos on the floor, Gabriel reported. 2 by weapons, 3 near vehicles, 1 on the catwalk. Take them. Anya's voice was steady. The team moved like shadows. Elias tracked the catwalk guard and took him down silently. Below, his team worked with lethal precision. Kane remained oblivious in his office. Elias approached from behind while Anya covered the door. Elias kicked the door in. Kane spun, reaching for a pistol. Elias was faster, slamming Kane against the wall. "Hello, Jedediah," Elias growled. "Remember me?" Kane's eyes widened with fear. "How did you... You burned my home, killed my animals." His voice was deadly calm. "But something doesn't add up." Anya entered, weapon trained on Kane. "This was too organized," Elias continued. "Too well funded. Who paid you?" Okay, Kane gasped. "We got paid. Good money." "Who?" Anya demanded. "Some ex-military guy. Said he had a personal score to settle with Vance. Wanted it to look like our usual jobs." Elias felt a chill. "Name?" "Thorne," Kane wheezed. Called himself Colonel Thorne. The name hit Elias like a physical blow. He released Kane, stepping back. "That's impossible," Elias said. "Thorne is dead. Afghanistan, 10 years ago." "Not dead," Kane shook his head. "Met him face to face. Older guy, scary calm, had pictures of you. Said you owed him a debt in blood." Elias exchanged looks with Anya. They both remembered Afghanistan. Operation Sun Devil. The mission that went wrong. "He's lying," Leo said from the doorway. "No, I swear," Kane's voice cracked. "Thorne's alive. He's been planning this for years. Said you took everything from him." Miko appeared with a laptop. "He's telling the truth. Found encrypted communications. They match old army protocols, ones Thorne would have known." Elias stared at Kane. Alan Thorne, his former commander, his mentor, the man whose death he'd carried as another weight of guilt. "Where is he?" Elias demanded. "Don't know," Kane shook his head frantically. "He contacts us, different burner phones. He's out there, and he's not going to stop until you're dead." Kane slumped in his chair, defeated. "He said you'd figure it out. Said when you did, to tell you something." He swallowed hard. "Said to tell you, remember the children of Sun Devil." A ghost from the past, alive and orchestrating this entire nightmare. Betrayal from a mentor, a commander, is a profound wound. How does one even begin to process that the man who shaped you as a soldier now wants to destroy you? What kind of darkness would drive a man like Thorne to this? Dawn crept over Elias's homestead, casting long shadows through the burned fields. Inside the shell of the house, the team huddled around Miko's array of laptops. "Look at this," Miko said. Security footage showed a figure meeting with Kane. Facial recognition is a 67% match to Thorne's last known photos. Elias leaned closer. "That's him." Anya pointed to another screen. "Wire transfers through shell companies. He's building a network." "A network of hate," Leo added, spreading out a map marked with red pins. "Each pin an attack on a minority-owned farm. All following your pattern, Elias." Gabriel spoke up. "He's been testing tactics. Your farm wasn't the first. It was the culmination." Elias stood, I need to tell you about Operation Sun Devil. The full story. They'd all heard rumors. 10 years ago, Afghan-Pakistan border, Elias began. High-value target, a warlord named Ishaq. Thorn was CO. I was lead sniper. He paused. We tracked Ishaq for weeks. Got intel he was at a remote compound. I remember the briefing. Anya nodded. Clean shot, minimal risk. That's what we thought, Elias continued. I had the shot lined up, but something was wrong. Civilian movement. I radioed Thorn, recommended we abort. But he gave the green light, Leo said softly. Elias nodded. Direct order. Take the shot. So I did. His hands clenched. The intel was bad. Ishaq had moved his entire extended family to the compound. The shot triggered a secondary explosion. The whole building. Miko pulled up classified photos. The destroyed compound. The bodies. 17 civilians, Elias said, including Ishaq's family, and Thorn's wife and daughter. A horrified silence filled the room. They'd been taken hostage by Ishaq a week before. The intel never reached us. Thorn knew they were missing, but he never imagined they'd be there. Thorn disappeared after the mission review, Anya said. They found evidence of a firefight, assumed he'd been killed by Ishaq's men. But he wasn't, Elias finished. He's been planning, all these years, building his revenge, using hate groups as his weapons, turning my race against me, making it look like bigotry while he pulled the strings. Gabriel stood suddenly. Incoming transmission. Breaking our firewalls. The main screen flickered. A face appeared. Older, weathered, but unmistakably Alan Thorn. Hello, Elias, Thorn said. I see you finally figured it out. Alan, don't! Thorn's voice was like steel. You took my family from me. Made me watch through your scope as they died. Now I'm going to take everything from you. The camera panned, showing photos of Elias's farm, his friends, the team. Your farm was just the beginning. I'm going to destroy everyone you care about, and you're going to watch. Anya stepped beside Elias. You're insane, Alan. Thorn laughed. This isn't about bringing them back, Anya. This is about justice. The children of Sun Devil demand it. The children of Sun Devil were innocent, Elias said. This is murder. No, Elias. This is war. And I learned from the best. You. I've just chosen different weapons. Instead of bullets, I use hatred. Instead of bombs, fear. The screen showed more photos. Other farms, other victims. Every life I've destroyed, their blood is on your hands. And I'm just getting started. Miko tried to trace the signal. Don't bother, Miko, Thorn smiled. When I'm ready, you'll find me. Until then, watch your back. The screen went black. Elias's world has been turned inside out. Thorn is twisting shared trauma into a weapon. Is there any way for Elias to reason with him? Or is Thorn too far gone, lost in his grief and hatred? Is this a situation that can only end in more violence? Anya immediately took charge. We need to secure the perimeter, now. Miko, set up motion sensors. Gabriel, expand the drone coverage. Elias nodded, military training kicking in. I've got weapons cached in the cellar. Leo, help me. I'll do a sweep of town, Leo said. Something about those photos. He's got people nearby. Not alone, Elias said sharply. Town's got too many corners, Leo countered. One man draws less attention. Radio contact every 15 minutes. Mark time now. Anya handed Leo an encrypted radio. First sign of trouble. You call. Elias clasped Leo's shoulder. 15 minutes. 1 second late, we come in hot. Copy that, Leo grinned, but his eyes were serious. They watched Leo's truck disappear. The first radio check came on schedule, Town's quiet. Checking the sheriff's office next. Something feels off. Static. Say again? Elias called. Multiple vehicles, unmarked. Think I've been made. The sound of gunfire crackled through the radio, followed by screeching tires. Contact! Leo's voice was tight. 4 shooters! The transmission died. Elias and Anya were running to his truck, peeling out onto the road. He's moving south on Parker Street, Miko's voice came through their earpieces. Taking heavy fire. They were 2 minutes out. Lost his signal, Miko reported. Last known position behind the old hardware store. They screeched to a halt. The street was empty, but for fresh tire marks and shell casings. Split up, Anya commanded. They cleared the area. The back alley told the story. Scuff marks, bullet holes, signs of a fierce struggle. Elias found Leo's radio, crushed and bloody. Dark stains marked the concrete. Tire tracks from a heavy vehicle led away. Elias, Anya called. She stood by a white van, side door open. Inside, tactical gear lay scattered. These aren't local thugs, Anya said. These are operators. Elias examined the gear. Private military contractors. Thorn is hiring professionals. Sirens grew closer. We need to move, Anya said. Sheriff's department isn't on our side. Back in the truck, the image of Leo's bloody radio burned in Elias's mind. We'll find him, Anya said firmly. Thorn wants an audience. He'll contact us. But what will be left of Leo when he does? Elias drove back in heavy silence. The attackers had used signal jammers, professional tactics, a precisely planned operation. Elias placed Leo's broken radio on the table. Thorn wanted us to know he could reach us anywhere. Fine. Message received. He looked at his team. Now we show him what happens when he takes one of our own. The kidnapping of Leo has escalated everything. Thorn has made it clear he'll target their families, their brothers in arms. This is no longer just Elias's fight. The entire team's life is on the line. At this point, does protocol matter anymore, or is it all about getting their friend back by any means necessary? The remains of the farmhouse hummed with tense activity. Miko hunched over multiple laptops, while Gabriel operated the surveillance drones. Anya coordinated with her old intelligence contacts. Elias paced, his boots wearing a path in the scorched floorboards. Got something, Miko called out. Heavy data traffic from an industrial complex outside town. Could be streaming video, Anya said. The screens suddenly went black. When they flickered back on, Alan Thorne's face filled them. Hello, Elias. I thought you might want to see how your friend is doing. The camera panned to show Leo strapped to a chair, bloody but defiant. Tell him you're okay, Thorne ordered. Don't you dare give these bastards anything, Elias! Leo spat, earning a brutal backhand from Thorne. Miko, Elias whispered urgently. Track this. Working on it, Miko muttered. Thorne produced a knife. You know, Elias, I spent years planning this, learning your routines, your weaknesses. He pressed the blade against Leo's throat. Your friends. Commander, Elias said evenly. This is between you and me. Let him go. Oh, but this is between you and me. Thorne dragged the knife down Leo's arm, drawing blood. You took my family. Now I take yours. Leo didn't scream. Got a trace, Miko announced. Old Phillips Manufacturing Complex, 10 miles north. Anya spread out a satellite map. 3 connected buildings, heavy security, at least 24 heat signatures. More mercenaries, Gabriel added. They're expecting us. And Thorne continued his methodical torture on screen. You've got 1 hour, Elias, he finally said. Then we move to power tools. The screen went dark. Elias stood still. His breathing was controlled, measured. When he spoke, his voice was ice. Miko, best entry point? Loading dock on the east side, Miko replied. Blind spot, but Elias, this is what he wants. He's waiting. I know. Elias moved to his weapon case. But he made two mistakes. First, he thought watching Leo's torture would break me. He checked his rifle. Instead, it just reminded me what I'm capable of. The cold precision in his movements was back. This was Elias the warrior. And the second mistake? Elias slammed a magazine home. He forgot I learned everything I know from him. He faced his team, eyes hard as granite. Thorn trained me into a weapon. Now that weapon is coming for him. The team moved with renewed purpose. Anya coordinated their approach while Miko hacked the facility's security. Gabriel prepped their vehicles. Elias donned his combat gear like a second skin. This wasn't about orders or country. This was about family. He checked his watch. 43 minutes until Thorn's deadline. Enough time. Gear up, he ordered. We move in 5. Thorn's trap is set, and Elias is walking right into it, fully aware. He's using Thorn's own tactics against him. There's a certain poetry to that, but the risk is immense. Do you believe Elias is thinking clearly, or is this a decision fueled purely by rage and a desire for revenge? Midnight cast long shadows across the Phillips manufacturing complex. Elias led his team through the blind spot, their movements silent. Security cameras were locked in a loop. They entered in diamond formation. Elias held up his fist, stopping them. 2 mercenaries passed ahead. He signaled the team forward. 3 tangos, North Corridor, Anya whispered. Elias responded with hand signals. Split and flank. The team divided smoothly. Elias struck first, his knife finding the base of one man's skull. Anya took the second with a chokehold. Miko and Gabriel caught the third between them. No shots fired. They moved deeper. A burst of gunfire shattered the silence. Contact front, Elias shouted, diving for cover as bullets chipped the concrete. Anya's rifle barked 3 times. 2 mercenaries dropped. Move! They pushed forward, speed now more important than stealth. More mercenaries poured in. Elias's rifle spoke in controlled bursts. 2 minutes to target room, Miko called. A grenade bounced around the corner. Down, Elias yelled. The explosion showered them with debris. Through the smoke, he saw a heavy steel door, guarded by 2 mercenaries with machine guns. Cover me! Elias sprinted as his team laid down suppressing fire. He took both guards down with 3 precise shots. Anya placed breaching charges. Breach, Elias ordered. The door blew inward. He was through before the smoke cleared. The room was empty except for Leo, still strapped to the chair. Leo! Elias rushed to him, checking for a pulse, weak but steady. Took your sweet time, Leo mumbled. Complain later, Elias said, cutting the restraints. Can you walk? Hell no, you get to carry my heavy ass. Elias hoisted Leo over his shoulders. Team, we're mobile. Let's go. They started their extraction. Multiple contacts converging, Miko warned. An explosion rocked the building. The floor trembled. They're collapsing the structure, Anya shouted. Move! They ran, gunfire pursuing them. The final explosion caught them at the door. The blast wave threw them forward. Elias tucked and rolled, protecting Leo. Outside, they sprinted for their vehicles as gunfire sparked off the armored panels. Anyone following? Elias asked. Negative, Gabriel reported. Clean getaway. Dawn was breaking when they pulled up to the homestead. Sarah had medical supplies ready. They carried Leo inside and began treating his injuries. "You look like hell," Elias told him. "Should see the other guys." Leo managed a weak smile. Elias squeezed his shoulder gently. "Rest. You're safe now." He stepped outside, watching the sunrise with his team. They were exhausted, bloody but alive. They had gotten their friend back. For now, it felt like victory. The rescue was a success, but the cost was high, and the facility's collapse was no accident. Thorn is still out there, his resources vast. Is this a victory, or just one battle in a war that's about to get much worse? Has Elias proven he can beat Thorn, or has he just made him more desperate? Dawn painted the kitchen in soft orange light as Elias carefully cleaned Leo's wounds. The rest of the team moved around them, Anya organizing supplies, Miko and Gabriel monitoring their equipment. "Those stitches are going to leave some nasty scars," Elias said. "Just more stories to tell?" Leo replied weakly. Anya approached with coffee and painkillers. "Here, these should help." Miko looked up from his laptop. "Thorn's operation is in chaos. We took out at least 15 of his best men, and the complex is a total loss. Local news is already covering the explosion," Gabriel added. Elias finished with the bandages. "We need to press our advantage. Thorn will be—" A high-pitched beeping cut through the quiet. Miko's head snapped toward his equipment. "Energy spike! Massive electrical surge coming from—" The world exploded. The blast hit like a giant's hammer, shattering windows and throwing everyone to the floor. "Everyone out! Now!" Elias grabbed Leo, hauling him up as more explosions rocked the foundation. Anya helped support Leo's other side. They stumbled toward the door as the ceiling groaned. "The barn!" Miko shouted from outside. "More charges!" The barn detonated in a massive fireball, sending burning debris raining down. The shockwave knocked them all down again. Elias covered Leo with his body as flaming wood and metal showered around them. The greenhouse disintegrated. The equipment shed blew apart. "The vehicles!" Anya yelled. "We need to—" Their trucks exploded simultaneously. Briggs had thought of everything. Elias watched in horror as fire consumed his crops. Everything he'd built since leaving the service, all of it burning. "Move! Get to the tree line!" he shouted. They half-carried Leo to the safety of the woods. For nearly an hour, they watched the fire department try to contain the inferno. When the flames finally died down, the devastation was total. Where Elias's house had stood, only a scorched foundation remained. The fields were ash. Even the old cottonwood by the drive was a blackened skeleton. He walked through the ruins in a daze. A charred photo frame caught his eye. A picture of his parents, now burned beyond recognition. "Elias!" Miko's voice was tight with anger. "You need to see this." He held up his tablet. A new video message was playing. Thorn's face filled the screen. "I told you I'd take everything from you, but I'm not finished. Meet me at our old training ground. You remember the place. Come alone, or I start targeting your team's families next. Time to end this where it began." The message ended. Elias stared at the blank screen. The shock crystallized into pure, focused rage. "No more plans," he said, his voice hard as steel. "No more tactics. He wants me. He gets me." "You can't face him alone," Leo protested from against a tree. Elias looked at his team, then back at the smoking ruin of his home. The peaceful life was ash. The patient farmer was gone. What remained was the weapon Thorn had forged. "He thinks he's broken me," Elias said, his voice carrying the promise of retribution. "He thinks this makes us even." He picked up his rifle from their stashed gear. "He's wrong. Thorn has destroyed Elias's sanctuary. leaving nothing but ash. It's the ultimate act of psychological warfare, meant to break his spirit. Is Thorn right? Has he broken Elias? Or has he just unleashed something far more dangerous than he ever anticipated? The team regrouped at Gabriel's hunting cabin, a modest structure in the New Mexico wilderness. Elias sat at a table cleaning his rifle with mechanical precision. "Your bandages need changing," Anya said to Leo, her voice calm but strained. Miko paced near the window. "I've got satellite imagery of the training ground. Briggs has been setting up shop there." 3 access roads, Gabriel added, studying a map. "He'll see us coming." "Not us," Elias said quietly. "Just me." The cabin went silent. "Like hell," Leo growled. "He said, 'Come alone, or he targets your families,'" Elias said, his eyes hard. "You know he means it." "This is exactly what he wants." Anya slammed down medical supplies. "He's isolated you." "You're right," Elias faced them. "It's what he wants. But sometimes you have to spring the trap to end the game. I need you to trust me." He looked at each of them. They'd followed his judgment in impossible situations before. He'd earned that trust. "What's your real plan?" Gabriel asked. "I'm walking in there to end this," Elias said, shouldering his pack. "But I need you to wait. If I don't make it back, you hunt him down. If I do, we'll need help rebuilding the farm." Leo limped over and grabbed his shoulder. "Brother, don't do this." Elias pulled him into a careful hug. "Some debts can only be paid one-on-one." Sarah approached next. "You've got 3 hours. After that, we're coming in." Marcus nodded. The team watched as his figure disappeared into the lengthening shadows. The abandoned military facility appeared exactly as he remembered. Concrete buildings, rusted equipment, overgrown training courses. The main gate hung open. He moved on foot, a ghost in the deepening twilight. Every building, every corner was etched in his memory. He could almost hear the echoes of their youth, of Thorn's voice barking orders. Now it was a tomb, perfect for a final confrontation. He caught the faint hum of generators, saw fresh boot prints in the dust. Thorn was here. Elias could feel his presence. He paused in the shadow of the main administration building, letting his senses extend. 2 decades of combat experience told him he was being watched. The game was beginning. Elias moved through the shadowy training compound, rifle ready. Moonlight filtered through broken windows. A faint metallic click made him freeze. He melted into a doorway. "Welcome home, Elias," Thorn's voice boomed through hidden speakers. "I knew you'd come alone. Always the honorable one." Elias didn't respond, tracking the voice's origin. Classic misdirection. "Nothing to say to your old commander? The man who made you what you are?" A shadow moved on the catwalk above. Elias fired 2 precise shots. Metal splintered. Thorn's laugh echoed. "Still quick, just like in Afghanistan." Elias advanced carefully. "You want to talk about Afghanistan? Let's talk face to face." "Oh, we will." Thorn's voice dripped venom. "We'll talk about how you gave the order to fire without confirming the target. How my wife and daughter died because of your arrogance." A flashbang clattered across the floor. Elias turned, but the blast left his ears ringing. He sensed movement behind him, spun, and barely deflected Thorn's knife. They crashed together in a brutal exchange, years of combat training unleashed. Thorn was powerful, precise, his face twisted in rage. "You took everything from me!" Elias absorbed a punch, countering with an elbow that caught Thorn's temple. "We were hunting a warlord. Your family wasn't supposed to be there." "They were visiting my brother-in-law," Thorn roared, kicking Elias's knee. "If you'd waited 5 minutes, you'd have known." They separated, circling. Blood trickled from a cut above Elias's eye. "I've lived with that guilt for 20 years, Elias said. "But you've become everything we fought against." Thorn charged, fueled by pure hatred. They exchanged furious blows. "Innocent?" Thorn spat blood. "Like my daughter was innocent? She was 12, Elias!" He landed a devastating combination. "I had to identify what was left of them." Elias recovered, countering with a sweep that took Thorn's legs out. They grappled on the debris-covered floor. "I see their faces every night," Elias grunted. "But this won't bring them back." Thorn headbutted him. "Good. Now you know how it feels." He wrapped his hands around Elias's throat. Elias's vision darkened. With desperate strength, he bucked and rolled, breaking the grip. Both men scrambled to their feet. "You're right about one thing," Elias wheezed. "I made a mistake in Afghanistan. I won't make another one tonight." Thorn charged with a roar. Elias sidestepped, used Thorn's momentum, and executed a perfect throw, driving him into the concrete floor. Before Thorn could recover, Elias had him pinned in an unbreakable hold. He could have ended it. "Do it," Thorn growled. "Finish it." Elias increased the pressure. "No, you don't get the easy way out. You're going to face justice." This is it. The culmination of years of pain and rage. Elias has his nemesis at his mercy. He could end it all, give in to the same thirst for vengeance that consumed his mentor. But he doesn't. What does this moment say about the true difference between these two men, forged in the same fire? Is this choice the ultimate victory? Elias held Thorn pinned, pulling out his phone and activating the video recording. "Now you're going to tell the truth. All of it." "You can't prove anything," Thorn struggled. Elias twisted slightly, causing Thorn to gasp. "The world's going to know. Start with how you survived." Thorn's laugh was bitter. "Fine, I survived. Woke up in a village. When I learned what happened, Commander Alan Thorn ceased to exist." "And then?" Elias prompted. "Then I spent years planning, building networks. The Desert Scorpions were just useful idiots." "Keep going. Tell them about Sheriff Brody." Thorn laughed darkly. "Easiest one to buy. Already corrupt, money in the right accounts, and hate crimes disappear." Footsteps echoed. Elias tensed. Anya emerged from the shadows, weapon trained on Thorn. Behind her, Miko and Gabriel secured the perimeter. "Couldn't stay away?" Elias managed a slight smile. "You think we'd let you face him alone?" Anya's expression was hard. "We've got the building surrounded. Federal agents are on their way." Briggs renewed his struggles. "You can't undo what happened." "No," Elias agreed. "But we can stop you." Red and blue lights flashed through the windows as law enforcement arrived. 2 federal agents entered. "Colonel Alan Thorn, you're under arrest." And as the agents secured Thorn, Elias finally stood, his body aching. Anya steadied him. "The press is outside," Miko reported. "The whole circus." They watched as the agents led Thorn away, his defeat evident. Outside, camera flashes burst like lightning. "Any word on Leo?" Elias asked. "Stable," Gabriel reported. "Doctors say he'll make a full recovery." "The farm," Elias started. "Is just land," Anya finished. "We'll rebuild it, together." "Already got contractors lined up," Miko nodded. "Communities rallying." Through the doors they could see Thorn being led to a vehicle, reporters shouting questions. "You did it, Elias," Anya said softly. "You brought him in alive." proved you're still the better man. We did it, Elias corrected. All of us. They stood together in the empty training compound. The hard part was over. Should we say something profound? Miko asked. Elias straightened up. Nothing to say. Let's go home. And the rebuild has begun, not just of a farm, but of a community's trust and a man's soul. Violence was met not with more violence, but with justice and a resolve to build something better. It's a powerful message. What part of Elias's final stand resonated most with you? His fight, his restraint, or his faith in his team? 6 weeks later, Elias sat on the edge of a motel bed, watching the news. Former Army Colonel Alan Thorne has been indicted on multiple federal charges, a reporter announced. Miko clicked his tongue. My data dump is keeping them busy. The news showed Sheriff Brody being led away in handcuffs. Elias's phone buzzed. A text from the hospital. Leo was awake and asking for visitors. He found Leo propped up in bed, bruises fading. About time you showed up, Leo grinned. Looks like we started quite a storm. How are you feeling? Like I got hit by a truck, then backed over, then hit again. He looked serious. I've been thinking, brother. Maybe it's time to really retire. You sure? Yeah. Got enough scars. He softened. Besides, somebody's got to help your stubborn ass rebuild that farm. A knock at the door interrupted them. Reverend Williams, the leader of the largest black church in town, stood in the doorway, along with James Chen, who owned the local hardware store, and Maria Rodriguez from the Hispanic Community Center. Mr. Vance, the Reverend said, may we come in? They entered, their faces a mix of shame and determination. We've come to apologize, Reverend Williams began. For years, we saw the signs and stayed quiet. We were wrong, James Chen said. But we're here now, Maria added. The community is organizing. We've started a rebuild fund. Elias studied their faces. This isn't just about my farm. No, the Reverend agreed. It's about changing things. We want you involved. They're right, Leo chuckled. Can't hide out on that farm forever. All right, Elias said finally. Let's do this right. Build something that lasts. Together, the Reverend extended his hand. Elias took it firmly. Together. From his bed, Leo watched with satisfaction. Now that's what justice looks like. The room filled with plans and schedules. Through the window, the New Mexico sun shone bright and clear. The land that Thorne had tried to poison with hatred would become something new, a symbol of what unity could achieve. First priority, James was saying, is getting your house rebuilt. No, Elias corrected gently. First priority is making sure everyone knows they're welcome to be part of this. Every color, every background. That's how we really win.